Some houses carry memories. Others carry something heavier. The Amityville House doesn't scream its history. It doesn't look abandoned. It doesn't look cursed. That's exactly why people find it unsettling. Because nothing about it warns you. It waits. When investigators reviewed the DeFeo crime scene, they noticed details that never made sense, even to seasoned officers. The bullets traveled in straight paths, no ricochets, no evidence of anyone moving after the first shots. Each body lay as if placed there deliberately. Ballistics experts questioned how a single shooter could move room to room, firing a loud rifle without alerting anyone else in the house. Even more disturbing was the absence of defensive wounds. No one tried to shield themselves. No one attempted to escape through windows or doors. It was as if something had already decided their fate before the trigger was pulled. Ronald DeFeo later spoke about the house as if it were alive. He didn't describe demons with horns or shadows crawling on walls. He described pressure, a constant presence, a feeling that the walls were listening. Psychologists dismissed it as delusion. The court dismissed it as an excuse, but the house remained silent. When the Lutz family arrived, they didn't come searching for horror. They brought furniture, family photos, pets. A priest even blessed the house shortly after they moved in. That priest later claimed he was slapped by an unseen force and heard a voice telling him to leave. He never returned. George Lutz was not a man known for superstition. Friends described him as practical, calm, grounded. But within days, his behavior changed. He became irritable, obsessive, drawn to the basement for reasons he couldn't explain. He began stacking firewood obsessively, even when it wasn't needed. He stopped shaving. He lost weight. He complained that the house felt colder than it should, even when the heating system worked perfectly. Kathy Lutz experienced vivid nightmares about the DeFeo murders before learning the details. She described scenes she shouldn't have known, positions of bodies, feelings of panic, silence. Their youngest daughter developed marks on her body that doctors couldn't explain. Their son spoke about voices calling his name when no one was there. Skeptics argue that stress and suggestion can do powerful things. Trauma leaves echoes, that fear feeds on itself. That explanation works until it doesn't. Because the Lutz family didn't seek attention immediately. They didn't call reporters while living there. They ran. They hid. They avoided the house completely. Their fear didn't feel performative. It felt desperate. Years later, paranormal investigators would debate endlessly whether the story was exaggerated. Some claimed fraud. Others admitted parts were impossible to fake. But the most overlooked detail is this: the house didn't stop being strange after the Lutz family left. Subsequent owners rarely spoke publicly, but neighbors noticed patterns. Families wouldn't stay long. Renovations happened frequently. Windows were changed. The famous attic eyes were removed, not to improve the house, but to erase its identity. People who lived there later described an atmosphere that was difficult to explain. Not terror, not hallucinations, just discomfort, sleeplessness, a sense of being observed without any clear reason. One resident reportedly said, "Nothing happened. That's what made it worse." No screams, no apparitions, just a constant feeling that the house didn't fully belong to them. The Amityville house became something far more disturbing than a haunted attraction. It became a psychological scar embedded in wood and concrete. Skeptics often say, millions of houses have violent histories. Why this one? That question assumes horror needs to be unique to be real. Sometimes the most terrifying places are not cursed, they are unchanged. Places where extreme violence happened and nothing was resolved. No understanding, no closure, just silence layered over silence. Ronald DeFeo died in prison maintaining that something influenced him. He never recanted that part, not once. Even when he admitted lies, manipulation, and contradictions, he held on to that single claim, that something else was there. The Lutz family lost credibility in the public eye, but privately, they never moved on. They avoided interviews later in life. They refused to revisit the house. Their fear didn't fade with time. And the house? It still stands, occupied, maintained, quiet. No one advertises it as haunted. No one invites investigation. No one dares to turn it into a museum. Because deep down, people understand something uncomfortable. If the house were truly harmless, there would be no need to hide it. The Amityville house doesn't need ghosts to terrify people. It only needs memory and walls that remember too much. If this was just a crime scene, it would have been forgotten. If this was just a hoax, it would have collapsed under scrutiny. But it survived both, and that's why its story continues. Not because it proves the supernatural exists, but because it reminds us that sometimes places absorb what humans do inside them and give nothing back. If you think this was all coincidence, say it. If you think fear created the monster, explain why it never fully went away. And if you believe some houses should never be homes again, you're not alone. Comment below. Subscribe for more real horror stories where the truth is more disturbing than fiction. Because the scariest thing about the Amityville house is that it's still just a house, and it's still waiting.